I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. Today's Starborn show is titled Revisions, and that is because the planets are placed in a somewhat odd configuration this week, and that will affect all of us in one way or another, so we may be having to do revisions of our plans or our goals, or even our relationships. And that is because overall, this is going to occur in all of our charts, these big 3 points that we want to remember. First of all, it's that the planets are spaced so that 1/2 of your chart only has 3 planets in it. The other half has 7 planets in it. But all 3 of those planets are retrograde. And so 1/2 of your chart with only 3 retrograde planets in it is an indication that something needs to be redone. That's why the title of the show is Revisions. And then another thing that's going on that is somewhat unusual, but we have to take note of, is that Venus is in Leo at 2 degrees. Mercury is there as well, but Venus is at 2 degrees of Leo, and it is exactly opposing Pluto, which is retrograde in Aquarius, also at 2 degrees. And so when Venus and Pluto or Saturn are squaring or opposing each other, it is an indication of a betrayal. And so there can be a betrayal somewhere in all of our lives. If it isn't happening directly to you, you could know somebody else that it's happening to, but that is certainly due to occur this week. And then the third thing that we need to take note of is that the Sun is in Virgo, just like it was under Saturday's new moon when the Sun and the Moon were there, but the Moon has moved on, and now the only planet in an Earth sign is the Sun in Virgo, and it has no support. There's nothing in Taurus, and there's nothing in Capricorn. So we need to remember those 3 things, because some of those things could influence the need to make a revision in your life this week. However, there are good things going on as well. And that is because there's 4 planets trining each other in the dynamic fire signs. There's another 4 planets in a grand trine in the conceptual creative air signs. So let's take a look at that. What we see is that Venus is in Leo and Mercury is there as well. It has speeded up though. It's at 19 degrees of Leo now, and because it's direct. And those 2 planets are trining 2 other planets in a fire sign, Saturn, which is at 0 degrees of Aries, and Neptune, which is also at 1 degree of Aries. Those 2 planets are conjuncting, so they're a little stronger because they're together. But they are both retrograde, and so even though these 2 planets in Leo are going straight forward, the 2 planets in Aries are going backward. And so since Aries rules new beginnings, even though it has the support of Leo and Mercury there, it can be indicating right now, since Leo rules children and it rules summer fun and parties and sports and gambling and love affairs and all kinds of speculation, it can be that a charismatic leader right now, Leo rules leadership as well, is wanting to communicate. Remember, Mercury is in Leo, that rules communication. A charismatic leader right now can want to tell other people what to do about a new beginning, either how to handle a new beginning or actually what to do about a new beginning. Maybe it needs revision because Saturn and Neptune are both retrograde, meaning that they're weaker planets and going backwards. And so if a charismatic leader is sort of stepping up and wants to take charge and tell everyone else to do what to do, the question is anybody listening? It's very doubtful. And the reason why is that Saturn is a planet of doubt, and Neptune is a planet that can make you kid yourself, and they're both retrograde. So even if a charismatic leader comes around and wants to sort of tell other people what to do and how to make a new beginning or revise one, I think it's very doubtful that anyone is going to listen right now. And so there's that going on. But there's another 4 planets that are trining each other in a grand trine in the air signs. Now, for weeks now, there have been 3 planets in a grand trine in the air signs, but now there's one more, and it is the moon. Mars is in Libra, and the moon is in Libra as well right now, and they are both being trined by that Pluto in Aquarius, and also by Uranus in Gemini. Uranus and Mars are 2 malefic planets, but they're working beautifully together, and they're both noted for speed and unexpected surprises. And Mars is the ruler also not only of Aries, which it is opposing. That's why a new beginning, I don't think, is going to get off the ground quite the way other people want it to, and it may need to be revised because the ruler of Aries is opposing the sign it rules. That's not very good. But the moon in Libra today is doing the same thing. And yet, Uranus is a planet noted for speed and surprising change, and Mars rules aggression, but that Mars is being trined, and so is the moon, by Pluto in Aquarius, and Mars and Pluto are the rulers of Scorpio, and so Pluto is trining the moon, and it can be right now that there is a legal matter that is in question in one way or another. And so since the moon rules our emotions, and it's not conjuncting Mars, but it's pretty close to Mars, there could be an angry woman around that wants to set people straight about future plans and how to handle it. And I think that she could be quite strident about that and even threaten a lawsuit because Libra rules the law. But on the other hand, there could be somebody else, once again, perhaps a woman, who has a lot of legal clout. In other words, she could be head of a financial organization. Remember, Mars is trining Pluto, and they're the rulers of Scorpio, which does rule funding and financing. So there could be a woman with a lot of legal clout, or what I would call authority. Maybe she's the head of something. And she could be saying, you know, I have a common sense, easy suggestion here about how to make some sort of a compromise, or how to sort of smooth things over in one way or another. Libra rules compromise where the moon is. And she may be somewhat successful in her efforts because there is a grand trine in the air signs. So it's not all bad news right now. However, there are still drawbacks that have to be considered. And one of the drawbacks has to do with the fact that there are 5. Half of all the planets in the heavens are in cardinal signs squaring each other in a harsh T-cross. So that can be very challenging. And once again, it involves, since Libra is a cardinal sign, it involves the moon and Mars in Libra, which are opposing Saturn and Neptune in Aries. And so these 4 planets, which once again can indicate that a new beginning doesn't get off the ground, or is canceled, or needs revising in one way or another, but it would indicate that a new beginning could be real tough to, it would be, at the very best, it would need revising, and at the worst, it would be canceled. And so these 4 planets that are opposing each other, and an opposition always represents a separation, are by themselves squaring Jupiter, which is exalted in Cancer. And so there is a question about, it can be the legality or the qualifications of somebody who wants to be in charge, or who wants to be at the start of some sort of new beginning. And their position can be somewhat distrustful. In other words, people can be saying, oh, does this person really qualify for this position? Or this person has an opinion, but do they have the facts behind them to prove what they're saying? And so somebody actually now, due to these 5 planets in a harsh T-cross, and by far the best planet of the 5 is Jupiter, which is exalted in Cancer, it can be that people are asking themselves if someone is not flying under false colors. In other words, they're pretending to be something they're not. Or they're just along riding somebody else's coattails and they're along for the ride. Well, that's nice, I guess, but what does that have to do with having any kind of authority or responsibility? or being responsible for anything. So if they were sort of along for the ride, they might be flying under false colors, meaning that you may not be able to rely on them. And, in a pinch, that would be too bad. And so there's that element of challenge and distrust going on. And then there are 3 other planets that are opposing each other in the fixed signs, and fixed signs don't budge. So once again, as I've said before, Venus is in Leo, and it's exactly opposing Pluto in Aquarius, indicating a betrayal. But also, Mercury is in Leo as well. So those 2 planets in Leo are opposing that Pluto in Aquarius. And so it can be, at this time, that somebody's qualifications could be questioned, and the net result would be that they would not be eligible to pass final approval, or really pass muster. And why would that be? Because they would have been sort of flying under false colors, or what they would have been doing is pretending to be more knowledgeable than they were, and therefore they would not qualify for final approval on something because they lack the training and the work record to prove that they were that they should be trusted at a higher level. That's not going to happen. And so we have this is why the show is titled Revisions. As we discover the truth about people, or as we sort of put them to the test, or we ask other questions, or there's some sort of betrayal going on somewhere, maybe we better decide that accepting something that is half-baked means that it's probably going to fail. Why do that? Why not step back and revise a plan first, or revise the people that are responsible for doing something, so that we can build up more trust in others, based on their qualifications, their work record, their track record, not on what they say or how they look or who their friends are, but on their real work record, their real qualifications, their real credentials, not what they're pretending to be. That way none of us gets betrayed, as long as we're sort of checking the facts now, and that's why things may have to be revised. Okay, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Aries, for you. I think that a new beginning is, if it hasn't been canceled already, Aries, it's about to be. And the reason why is that even though Venus and Mercury in Leo are trining your sun, which means that you could be in contact with somebody who's a charismatic leader, but I wouldn't quite believe everything they're saying right now, Aries. Because if you want to get a new beginning off the ground, you may be subject to having to do it all their own way. This would not make an Aries happy. Aries have a mind of their own. They like to be first. They like to do things their way. And so there is the possibility, since Saturn and Neptune are both retrograde in your sign and going backward and about to leave your sign at different times. Saturn is at 0 degrees. It's heading into Pisces pretty quick, and Neptune will soon follow, and then your sign will be empty. So this is a better time for you, Aries, to re-examine or revise your plans. And also, if I were you, I would check somebody's credentials a whole lot more closely, because somebody might be subject to a betrayal because they are sort of, they're along for the ride without having any training or a verifiable work record to justify what they want to do or what they're telling you to do. And so you need to step back, Aries, and it is because there can be other problems, and some of them could be legal problems right now. That's why we need to do revision, so that we can build up more trust in our plans and in the people that we deal with. Because Mars and the Moon are opposing your sun, where you have Saturn and Neptune. Well, Mars is one malefic planet and Saturn is the other. Saturn represents oppositions, or it can represent delays of some sort, or any kind of obstacle. And Mars is coming at it. And Mars is the ruler of Aries, where these planets are. Somewhere in your life, Aries, you've got something backwards. And you're going to have to change that first. So you need to revise something right now. But it would be to your benefit to do that. Remember, you still have Venus and Mercury in Leo trining your sun. And actually, I think if you wanted to be a little bit more popular, that's nice. But actually, if you're doing it in a way where you're sort of taking somebody's word on something and being a little bit sloppy about actually checking their credentials, you could sort of live to regret that, Aries. And so it would be better to step back and revise something than to go forward right now, particularly with your own ruler opposing your sun sign. I think you might even get hurt a little bit if you go forward on something without being a little bit more thoroughly prepared for it. Or you could just be going on what people say rather than actually checking the facts about them. And that's what you need to step back and do. And then revise your plan. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, remember I said that the sun is in Virgo today, so it is trining your sun, Taurus, and the Capricorn sun, but there's nothing in your sign and there's nothing in Capricorn. There's no fortification for that sun. So it's nice that that's trining your sun, Taurus. That means that you could be concentrating a little bit more on your health or on a banking matter. Those are both things that Virgo rules. And Virgo rules not just your physical health, but your mental health or your attitude about things. So it's nice that the sun is trining your sun so that you can get a little bit clearer idea of what you want to concentrate on right now. And since Virgo rules problem solving, this may be a time, if you sort of step back and take a little rest right now, Taurus, when you might be able to get the answers to some problems that have been bothering you. And that would be by adding up details or checking small facts. Taurus doesn't always like to do that. Virgo loves to do that. But Taurus, just thinks that they can just power through. But there's very little support for that right now, Taurus. And on top of that, there are 3 planets squaring your sun, and they're getting in trouble, and so they could sort of get you in a little bit of trouble right now, because Venus, your own ruler, is in Leo squaring your sun, and so is Mercury in Leo, and then Pluto in Aquarius is also squaring your sun. That isn't going to change for years. And so people who want to do new things and go into the future are not necessarily wanting to take you with them, or else you would need to get some extra training or education, and you may not feel like adapting to new things that, they're sort of speculative, they haven't been proven. Taurus likes their creature comforts, and yours is an investment sign. You like to just watch your investments pretty closely, so you don't like to get thrown off by unexpected or new things. And this is a time when you're going to be challenged, even by your own children, if you have children, Taurus, because that's what Leo rules. And Venus, your ruler, is squaring your sun right now. So yes, the sun is trining your sun, but that could help you sort of dig down and get some answers to some problems, and then revise your plans. And that would be a wiser way for you to go right now without trying to ruffle anybody's feathers. And if some charismatic leader is trying to tell you what to do right now, Taurus, I wouldn't listen to a word of it. They would not have your best interests in mind, they would have their best interests in mind. And that may not be good enough for you, and also that may cost you a little bit more than it's worth, Taurus. So be real careful what you do right now. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, the grand trine that's been holding in the air signs is even stronger this week because there are 4 planets there instead of the 3 that have consistently been in the grand trine. So Uranus in your sign right now, which is such a slow mover, it's still at 1 degree, Gemini. But it is going forward, and it is trining the moon today and Mars in Libra, and it is also trining Pluto in Aquarius. The importance of that is that we've never seen this trine going on before between Uranus in your sign and Pluto, and Uranus rules Aquarius, so that's a real strong trine. And then Uranus is a malefic planet ruling sudden surprising change, and your sign also rules easy transitional change, Gemini. So there's probably going to be quite a beneficial change in your life. It may not be a grand and glorious one. It might be something that causes a revision in your daily routine in one way or another, or in your neighborhood. That's what your sign rules. Or it can be that there is some temporary project or temporary or part-time assignment or duty or chore of yours that you want to do, and you may be getting some more help from that, and even some good legal advice right now, because the moon is in Libra along with Mars trining your sun. And also you could get some sort of perhaps delayed approval from somebody who is in upper management in a large corporation, government agency, or institution that's interested in the future and may be very interested in you, Gemini. And if you're saying, oh, that sounds pretty strange to me, well, keep your eyes and ears open, Gemini, because nothing beats a grand trine. And it's stronger this week than it's been in the last few weeks, because the moon is there, trining your sun. You have a very nice woman friend somewhere, Gemini, and they're probably going to do you more good than you think. And the reason that they would be worth listening to, Gemini, is they have the law on their side, or they know what the law is. And their advice would be worth taking. If you were looking for good legal advice, you probably could find it right now, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer. This is a time, Cancer, when no matter which way you look, you could be looking at trouble. And the reason why is that, yes, you have Jupiter exalted in your sign. Congratulations. It's only there once every 12 years. So I hope that you concentrate on a home or on the lessons that are the legacy of your upbringing from your parents. That would be good too. And also, if you start to think a lot more about the last half of your life, which is actually what Cancer rules, and it rules endings. And so with Jupiter in your sign, Cancer, believe it or not, you could make some great endings this year. The whole year you could make great endings. But it would be a bit of an uphill climb this week, and you may have to revise your plans a little bit, because Mars and the moon, your own ruler, are in Libra, squaring your sun. So there can be a sticky legal matter around somewhere, Cancer, that you would need to listen to. It doesn't mean that whoever's bringing up this sticky legal matter is right. It doesn't mean they're right. But they could be challenging you. And so you need to be a little bit careful about what you say, particularly if it has any legal significance. So even it would pay for you to consult a lawyer of your own, and just be a little bit quiet about whoever is trying to push a legal matter on you, Cancer. They may not win, but they may play on your emotions to make you feel bad enough about something to give in. And you shouldn't do that right now. You just stand your ground. You have Jupiter in your sign, nobody else does, and it's exalted there. Stand on your good record, Cancer, because Saturn and Neptune in Aries are also squaring your sun. And they are both retrograde or a little bit weaker because they're going backwards. And so once again, the reason the show is called Revisions is because there can be a cancellation of a new beginning. And it's either somebody else is canceling it or you're canceling it. And I would say that no matter what the stress is involved in a new beginning that can get canceled right now, it's going to work in your favor, Cancer. And the reason why is that Saturn and Neptune, it could be that you've been kidding yourself about something. They're squaring your sun, right? But they're soon going to end that at different times. Saturn is the first one. It's at 0 degrees of Aries. It's going to go right into Pisces and start trining your sun quickly. And then Neptune is going to follow and also trine your sun where you have Jupiter. That's why I'm telling you that if there's a certain stress, or if somebody's trying to lay guilt trips on you about something, or somebody says there's a legal matter and it's all your fault, you have to step back, be as quiet as you can, and get your own counseling, get your own advice. Because just because they're making a threat or they're asserting something doesn't make them right. These planets are all squaring your sun sign. There's something wrong there. It's you know, what I really think, Cancer, is somebody's after what you've got, or somebody is after what you do. Okay, and they see you see you as able to give them everything they want. Okay, and somehow they could have the attitude that you're supposed to do that. No, you're not, Cancer. You have a life of your own. Cancers have very nurturing hearts. They're very nurturing. And so if you have the slightest suspicion that somebody's taking advantage of your nurturing heart, Cancer, you need to go on vacation by yourself. You need to get out of there, because they're using you. And they may be trying sort of psychological tricks on you, or saying you owe them something, you know, or gee, you'd be guilty for not giving them what they want because they'll be so crushed if you don't. Oh, stop listening, Cancer. It's an act. It's an act. It's you know, they may have been used to victimizing you before. They may know what they're doing. But you have Jupiter in your sign now. You are 10 steps ahead of them, Cancer, and you will be for a whole year. So you don't need to listen to people laying guilt trips on you anymore, or accusing you of things, or you don't need to feel responsible for somebody else. That's why we have revisions now. We are having to look at things that people are saying that may be just doubtful, or you know, really? Is it true? You need to step back and stop listening to people that are trying to pressure you, or hold you emotionally responsible for their unhappiness. Since your emotions are ruled by your sign, you could feel a big responsibility for that, but in the end, every person is different, and every person has their own background and their own problems, and you're not responsible for all of those. We all have to live our own lives, and that's why revisions are necessary now, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Oh, Leo, well, you do have Venus and Mercury in your sign, Leo, and they're being trine, they're backed up by Saturn and Neptune, which are retrograde in Aries. Because they're both retrograde, and because one half of everyone's chart is empty, except for 3 retrograde planets in it, 2 of which are Saturn and Neptune in Aries, it simply means that, Leo, somewhere you are thinking you can charge forward and sort of tell people how to do something. And Leos like to be in charge. You know, they like to be captain of the team. And so, excuse me, this is a time, Leo, when I would step back if I were you. Because somewhere in your life, Leo, there's going to be a betrayal. It's either you betraying somebody else, or it's somebody else who has their eye on the future and they don't have their eye on you. And it could be that they don't have their eye on you anymore. They might have had their eye on you at some earlier time. However, Venus in your sign is being exactly opposed by Pluto, which is retrograde in Aquarius. Both of them are at 2 degrees. And then Mercury is in your sign as well. But the Pluto is the one that's really backed up. It's part of a grand trine of 4 planets in the air signs. It's got what you might call powerful friends, and it's a powerful planet of truth anyway. So the real truth of the matter is that there's a betrayal somewhere in your life, Leo. Now maybe it's you. Maybe you're just deciding, oh, I've had it with somebody. And you decide, well, you're going to start over and do something else instead. You may already have plans to make a new beginning, Leo, but they may be open to serious revision right now, because Saturn and Neptune, which are trining your sun, are both retrograde, and they are being sorely challenged by Mars and the Moon in Libra opposing them. So they're weaker because they're retrograde, and they're a lot weaker because they're being opposed by their own ruler and the moon. So they're not much help to you, Leo. And so this betrayal of Pluto and Venus in your sign is exact, and it's simply an indication that somebody is wanting to move on into the future. And it doesn't have anything to do with your popularity, Leo. Leos like to be popular, and they're pretty good company wherever they go. They're jolly. You know, they like a party. It's not that. It doesn't have anything to do with that. This betrayal has to do with it has to do with the truth of where the whole world is heading. What's the future of everybody right now? Well, there are a whole lot of people that are interested in that and thinking only of the future. That's why they're not thinking of you, Leo. It doesn't have anything to do with your popularity. It's because they've got their minds on the future. And so there can be a personal relationship of yours that is truly over. But it isn't over necessarily because of you. It is because people are completely focused on the future and not on you. And so what are you going to do in your spare time, Leo? Well, it seems to me that if you have been thinking about a new beginning, because those planets in Aries they still are trining your sun, they're retrograde though, you'll have to revise some sort of new beginning that you've been thinking of, Leo. Because however you wanted it to work, people are not listening to a current plan of yours or a current idea of yours, or something that you always wanted to do and you just thought all you'd have to do is tell them that was the way you were going to do something and everything would be fine, and it won't be. You'll have to revise the direction you're going in. It's like, it's not that you're at a Y in the road, it's that you've been on a road that isn't going to get you too far. And so you need to change direction, and you need to revise your plans if you want to go further in a direction that's a little better for you. So you need to stand back and think about what's good for you, Leo. And you need to take into account your health. The sun is in Virgo right ahead of your sun sign, and Virgo rules our health. And it's your mental health, it's your attitude, it's the amount of stress you can or cannot take. And it all changes with time. And so you need to think a little bit more quietly of what you can handle right now. And stick to what you can handle, because you do have Venus in your sign. So I suggest you be good to yourself, Leo. And you got to change something in your life. And there's also somebody or something that is headed into the future without you. And I don't think that's going to bother you in the end, Leo, at all. All you need to do is focus a little bit more on where you are today and what your own needs are, and take a breather right now. That would do you a lot of good, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, the sun is in your sign, Virgo. That's good news, because that can make you sort of bright and sunny and optimistic and hopeful, and very careful with whatever you're doing. Virgos are careful people anyway. But there's nothing supporting it, Virgo. There's nothing in Taurus and there's nothing in Capricorn. So if you were going to sort of have your mind on business and have your mind on your bank account, which Virgos like to do, Virgo rules accounting, so they like to add things up all the time. I don't think that you're going to get a lot of help with that right now, Virgo. And so remember the show is called Revisions. And so Virgos are careful at making detailed plans of what they want to do. They can stretch those plans out for a long period of time as well, and think about different steps they need to take in order to accomplish a goal. But for right now, Virgo, with no support in your sign, I would say that you need to be a little bit careful about what your plans are and be ready to open them up to revision. And the reason why is that the planets are sort of lopsided right now in the heavens. Throughout one whole half of everybody's chart, including yours, there's only 3 retrograde planets sitting there and nothing else. And another half has 7 planets in it. So in part of your life, you can be very concerned about a lot of different things that are happening around you that could affect you. And what I'm suggesting to you, Virgo, since your sign has no support, is that you try, for your own peace of mind, to remain calm. And I think that you should try to step back and not pay attention to what everybody else is doing right now. In fact, Virgo, try to be a little bit more quiet. Try to avoid anybody else who's got a problem right now, because of course they'll ask you to solve it. Okay, well, that isn't what you should be doing right now, and your sign has no support for that. And so why don't you disappear a little bit, Virgo? And by that I mean, take a little vacation, stay home, close the door. You don't need to be on your email or your phone all the time. And I think that you need to take better stock of where you are right now, Virgo, particularly in relation to your health or your health insurance, whatever that is that's costing you. And also, I think that you need to go over your own banking matters and see if your money and your investment matters, and see if you're pretty happy. You could be happy with the way the money's going right now. But even if you're happy and careful with that, Virgo, that is nobody else's business but yours. So that's why I'm suggesting that you sort of detach yourself from a lot of other people and all of their problems, because they're going to want you to solve them. And that is going to take away the focus of what you should be really looking at, which is the status of your own health and of your own financial affairs right now. Somehow they're tied together. And or it could be your job or your plans for retirement or something like that. I don't think you're going to get much help from other people in thinking about those things. That's why you need more time to do it on your own. And I think that is a very good idea. Virgos like to have a clear head about things. But if you're continually interrupted by other people, when are you going to get time to really devote a solid chunk of time to yourself? Well, this is the time to do it, Virgo. Particularly since you have no backup from the other earth signs. This is just the time to concentrate on what's right for you. And you need to do that by yourself in solitude. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a time, Libra, when you can be really busy. And you can have your emotions stirred up somehow. And the reason why is because the moon, which rules our emotions, is in your sun sign along with Mars. Well, Mars isn't too happy in Libra because it's a sign ruled by Venus, and Libras are little peacemakers. But there can be something that's disturbing you right now, Libra, or it's sort of bothering you, and it can be forces that are coming toward you, or people that you interact with. It could be a co-worker wherever you are working, or it could be somebody you know in your social life. That is aggravating you in one way or another. Aggravating you to the point where they can sort of be making themselves an enemy. And it isn't what you're doing to them, it's what they are doing to you, Libra. They're bothering you. And you'll have to find a way around these people because they're not worth fighting. They are at a level that you are above them, Libra. Now, I don't mean in money, and I don't mean in popularity. I mean in your own way that you operate as a human being. Libras are pretty peaceful people. They're nice enough that they work at trying to get along with people. They do. They actually work at that. And so Libras are not confrontational. And so, they're little peacemakers. Maybe not all the time, but at least they are. They like to be like that. But with Mars in your sign, somebody is trying to push your buttons, Libra, and get you emotionally aroused for their own pleasure. They're doing it for their, if they can stick a pin in you and cause you some discomfort, that makes them smile. Why do you need people like that in your life, Libra? Nobody needs people like that. So get rid of them, or else you yourself have got to move on in one way or another. And I think probably the easiest way to get rid of them is for you to change something in your own life. That's why the show is called Revisions. You need to revise who you're socializing with, or who you're working with, or who knows you. Maybe not everybody is what they pretend to be. Maybe not everybody is qualified to do what they're doing. They're just acting a part. And as they keep acting a part that they have no education or training or work record to substantiate, people can become distrustful of them, or they can doubt them. And so I'm not saying that there is a betrayal coming your way, Libra, but I am saying that if you were to remove yourself from somebody who's sort of trying to aggravate you right now, that isn't really a betrayal. That's a way of you surviving. And that's what you need to do, is survive without those people. And so you do need to change something or revise something or move on. And you're well aspected to succeed at that, because Uranus is in Gemini, trining your sun, and Gemini rules easy transitional change. It rules our neighborhoods. It rules our pals and buddies. You have a lot of those, Libra. But somebody's not your friend. Somebody is either jealous or vindictive or greedy or hateful, and you just need to get away from them. And if it means that you have to move, or you have to look for a different job, or anywhere where they are, you got to make sure you don't go to that social gathering. Just stay away from them, Libra. Because Mars won't always be in your sign, but it sure is now, and it is so well backed up. Actually, your sun is beautifully backed up, and the moon is there. And so there could be a lot of light on you right now, Libra, and it could be very favorable, but not everybody is your best friend these days. And you better take a look at people who say they care about you, and yet, you know, it's only as long as you're doing their bidding. It's only as long as you are responsible for their happiness. And Libra, what's in that for you, other than you're just going to become a doormat of theirs? Who needs it? So you need to think about that a little bit, Libra. The aspects to your sun sign are unbreakable. Pluto is trining Mars and the moon in your sign, and Uranus in Gemini is also doing that. You are far more powerful than you realize, but other people want to take advantage of that, and those are the ones that need to go. Because they're not being a friend, they just want to use you for their benefit. So if you think that something is just too good to be true, Libra, it's because it's not true. It's because somebody's laying it on real thick right now, and you don't need that. You can believe in yourself without having other people always trying to sort of lie to you for their own good. Those people aren't friends. They're really more enemies than friends, because they don't want to see you succeed. They want to see you working for them so they can succeed. That's called pure selfishness. You have some of those in your life, Libra. You don't need them. I would move on if I were you. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time, Scorpio, when your rulers, once again, as they have been for weeks now, are beautifully trining your sun. They're getting a little more help now, because the moon, Mars is in Libra, which is your ruler, trining Pluto in Aquarius, which is your other ruler, and yet the moon is in Libra now today too, and that is trining Pluto as well, and Uranus is trining all three of them, and so so Uranus is trining your rulers. And so, Scorpio, if you are you could be at a point right now where you could be at a point of what you might call abundance or benevolence. In other words, it's a little bit of an exaggeration to say your cup is running over with good things, but it's pretty close. Scorpio is pretty close. You could be in a comfortable financial condition, or there could be more money coming your way. You could be making a move perhaps back to something that is more reflective of where you grew up, or of the legacy that your parents taught you, the lessons your parents taught you. That's because Jupiter, the cherry on top is that Jupiter is in Cancer trining your sun. And your rulers are just, they're locked into absolute goodness right now that is achievable. And that's what I mean by your cup runneth over. You probably have a little extra money that you could do something with, Scorpio. Well, it's never hard to find things to spend money on, but you need to be a little bit careful because there is a betrayal around somewhere. Venus and Mercury in Leo are squaring your sun, and that Pluto in Aquarius is also squaring your sun. It's under such good aspects, and it is your own ruler. I don't think you need to worry about that too much right now. But there could be other people that sort of want to get in your way or else take advantage of you, particularly of your financial position or of any extra money coming your way, anything like that. They may want to borrow money from you. The answer is no, Scorpio. Just no. You probably would never have it paid back. So don't let go. And on top of that, there are people around that would go a long way to see you suffer for one reason or another. That's that Venus and Mercury and Leo squaring your sun. And also competitors in business. That's Pluto and Aquarius squaring your sun. So they may be silently or in the background somewhat jealous of your success right now, or envious of it, or want to compete with you, or they would like to see you fail. It isn't going to happen, Scorpio. It just isn't going to happen. That's because you've got Jupiter in Cancer backing you up. And your rulers are doing great too. And so what you need to do is quietly think about some of your plans, Scorpio. And I do mean sit down with some sort of a calendar or a schedule around somewhere and take a look at what you're planning and try to revise it. And that is because whatever you've been planning could be with people who do not have your best interests at heart. In fact, secretly they would love to see you fail. And so don't waste your time on any of those people, Scorpio. They're not your friends. They could be your feel-good friends, or they could be your sunny day friends, or they could be friends that are always smiling when the cameras are on them. But that isn't friendship. That's just using you for their own gain, their own purposes. Like you're the doormat and they're the ones that are supposed to be successful. Only we're entering a time now where revisions have to be done because the qualifications of people can be very doubtful right now. As if there are some people, particularly in your life, Scorpio, that have been playing a role. Leo rules acting. And they've been playing a role that they have no qualifications for. They have no actual education or work record to substantiate the role they've been playing. Okay? So they're a pretender, or they're in a false role, and so they will not get final approval. And if you've been, scheduling a lot of your time with people like that, that is making you vulnerable too, Scorpio, to some sort of derision. In other words, if you are choosing people that are just pretenders, that can rub off on you in a bad way right now, making you look like a pretender too. So if somebody else is sort of flying under false colors, I would not schedule anything else with a person like that, because the public might see that as if you're involved in that too. And it doesn't look to me like you are, Scorpio. That's why you need to be a little bit careful how you spend your time now and who you spend it with. And you better make sure that everybody's on the up and up. And you won't know that unless you check their record as well. And so you need to be a little bit careful and a little bit more quiet right now. You are not going to fail unless you decide to let yourself get used, as has happened in the past. And this is a time when you need to revise your plans, not let that happen again, because it could rub off on you in a public way that would be detrimental to your own success. And that's why, don't hang out with the pretenders, Scorpio. They are, the phoniness that they have could rub off on you in a detrimental way and hurt your reputation. So don't do that. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Sagittarius. This is a time, Sagittarius, when there are 4 planets in fire signs trining your sun. And that is because Venus and Mercury are trining your sun from Leo, and then retrograde Saturn and Neptune in Aries are also trining your sun. But because the retrograde planets, there's 3 retrograde planets all on one half of everybody's chart, meaning that there's a lot of empty houses around there where nothing is going on. And since these planets are retrograde, and that is Saturn and Neptune in Aries and Pluto in Aquarius, and there's nothing else around them at all, it simply means that there's got to be revisions. Something has to be redone. When planets go retrograde, they're going back on their orbit, trying to pick up information that they missed the first time around. So that's important. It's also important when planets are retrograde to go back and finish up things and tie up loose ends. In other words, finish things, not start things. And 2 of these retrograde planets are in Aries, the sign of new beginnings. It does not look like a new beginning is going to get off the ground for anybody right now. If it involves people that are flying under false colors or don't have proper credentials or work record or education to qualify them for some higher approval, they won't get it. And so, Sagittarius, you have a fine mind. Your sign is an intellectual sign ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is now exalted in Cancer. And so it is Jupiter is 150 degrees away from your sun or in conjunct. Okay, it's 5 houses away from your sun. So it's not opposing your sun sign the way it did last year, but it isn't having much effect on you either, and Jupiter is your own sun sign ruler. But you do have the effect of the 2 planets in Leo and the 2 planets in Aries trining your sun. Only it seems to me as if it represents a charismatic leader who could want to take charge and tell everybody else what to do. And what good would that do you, Sagittarius? You already have a mind that is so good at thinking on a broad level or a philosophical or even a religious level that you really don't need other people telling you what to do. If there's one sign that really knows right from wrong, it's Sagittarius, because your sign rules religion. And so you have a higher mind, and Sagittarians are very well read. It doesn't mean they all have college degrees, but they all know what's going on in the world. Because your sign rules international law, people from foreign countries, and long-distance travel, which you like to do. So some of those things could be highly favored right now, but at the same time, if you have any plans, even to travel and take a trip, you're going to have to go through revisions right now. Everybody will. And that's because things could look one way at one level, but when you burrow down a little bit and you look at more of the facts, the underlying facts, a lot of things don't add up right now, or they're phony, or they're not strong enough to stand a good appraisal or a thorough check of some sort. So you have to be a little bit careful who you're working with right now, Sagittarius. And I would say that if your instinct, as well as your fine mind, tell you that somebody's not on the level, you would probably be 100% right. And there's going to be betrayal in everybody's life. But the betrayal for you, Sagittarius, may be that you're finally seeing what someone's true colors are. And you might be a little disappointed in them, but that is not enough reason for you to hang around with them. It wouldn't do you any good. And so I think you need to stick to the same high standards that you have, or the same intellectual level that you already have. And so that means stick around people that sort of think the way you do, or who are involved with larger issues that involve a lot of people, not just personal issues. And, because you are so well informed, Sagittarius, you may even be called on to give your opinion about something, which you could substantiate very well with facts. You're perfectly capable of doing that. But if I were you, I would just be a little hesitant about who's asking. And if somebody is asking you for your opinion and you respect them highly, then that's a compliment to you, and you should give them a really good answer. But if somebody else is asking you for an answer and in the past they've never listened to you, and you don't think they're going to listen to you now, don't waste your time. It's not worth it. Just stick to who you are, Sagittarius, and keep going. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time, Capricorn, when yes, the sun in Virgo is trining your sun, but nothing else is. There's nothing in Taurus to trine your sun. And on top of that, Jupiter in Cancer is opposing your sun sign. It can bring you good things, but you always have to reach out to get them, is what that means, Capricorn. You have to, the good things could be here, but because Jupiter is opposing your sun sign, you've got to reach for them a little bit more than you're used to. Capricorns are not risk takers in any way, but you still should reach for something pretty good right now. If you can get it, it may have something to do with your home or your family or endings. You could be even reaching for a good ending right now and just get it off, get it done and get rid of it. That would be nice. Then you wouldn't have to worry about it anymore. Another thing about your sign is that it's a cardinal sign. And there are 5 planets in a harsh T crossing cardinal signs right now. Okay, so one of them is that Jupiter in Cancer opposing your sun. But Saturn and Neptune in Aries are squaring your sun, and they're both retrograde, meaning a new beginning has got to get redone. And the sooner the better, Capricorn, because it may be causing you worry or extra money that you shouldn't have to pay, and so you've got to get that solved. And then Mars and the moon in Libra are also squaring your sun, which means there can be some sticky legal question around somewhere, or there can be a woman who can be an angry woman who's threatening something legal, or else there could even be somebody around who has a good common sense idea or suggestion of how to sort of compromise and smooth things out, and she would be somebody who has a good knowledge of a legal matter, or else she just has the authority to enforce whatever good idea she has right now, and you'd more or less have to live with it, the decision. It may not hurt you, though. It just depends. As Capricorn, if you wanted to get aggressive, this is not the time to do it. And yet, if you wanted to solve problems and end some problems, this is the right time to do that. So in other words, you wouldn't have to, once you decide to end something, it's actually not too hard to do. It's the making the decision that's hard. But once you decide to end something, that's it. You can call it quits. It probably would be better for your health. The sun in Virgo is trining your sun. If you had a little less to worry about, and Virgo rules worry, that would do you a lot of good, Capricorn. It might even improve your health, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, this is a time, Aquarius, when there is going to be a betrayal somewhere in your life. Now, I guarantee you, Aquarius, you won't miss them. And the reason why is that Venus is at 2 degrees of Leo right now, and Pluto in your sign is at 2 degrees, and it's retrograde. But Venus and Mercury is in Leo. That's opposing your sun sign too. But the real betrayal is between Venus and Pluto in your sign. It simply means, Aquarius, since that Pluto is beautifully backed up by your own ruler, Uranus in Gemini, and by the moon and Mars in Libra, it simply means that you are much more in the driver's seat, Aquarius, than you realize. Yes, you might have to talk to some people. If I were you, I would try to gather information right now to do something that you want to do in the future, but I wouldn't necessarily go straight forward with that right now. This could be a better information gathering time because the grand trine of 4 planets in the air signs is so strong. It really benefits you, Aquarius. So if you were gathering information, some of it could be legal information, like what is the legal standing on something, or if you decide to do something, what are the legal ramifications of that? You don't have to do it right now, Although you're under wonderful aspects right now, Aquarius, except that you are somehow affected by somebody that would like to tell you what to do all the time, and they're comfortable telling you what to do, but they do not feel like listening to you at the same time. You know, so why not? Because they always think they're right, and nobody else is. So would anybody listen to anybody, even if they were a charismatic leader? Would you really listen to somebody that was always telling you what to do, and you know, possibly doesn't have the training or the work record or the good reputation to substantiate what they're saying? In other words, they're just sort of pushing their way forward. That wouldn't do you any good, Aquarius. You're going into the future. You really don't need to listen to anybody who's connected to the past. But you do need to listen to people who have good legal advice right now. Or it could be there's an upcoming change in your neighborhood or with your neighbors, and it would be to your benefit. So if you were planning to make a sort of a move somewhere else, that would be to your benefit right now. And so if you wanted to do that, I suggest you should. And it would be better for you than you realize. It also could relieve some stress in your life. And it might involve a betrayal, but the fact that you could get rid of somebody who should be betrayed could alleviate your stress as well. So you have a lot to gain. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time, Pisces, when you could be a little bit restless. And the reason why is that you can feel that there are things that you haven't accomplished that you wanted to accomplish before, or that you had your mind on, or that you were dreaming about, and somehow the schedules got changed or something got revised and it didn't get done. And you're starting to think of, oh gee, that's too bad. I'd still like to have that get done. And it could be a dream of yours, Pisces. And the reason why is that Saturn is at 0 degrees of Aries, which means that in 1 more degree it'll be in your sign, Pisces. Okay, because that's where it's going. And because it's retrograding, it's coming back into your sign. And so Saturn is a very serious planet. It does rule obstructions and delays, but it rules time. And you may be having a second chance this time to get something right that you should have done before, Pisces. So that's good, because Neptune, your own ruler, is also retrograde at 1 degree of Aries, and it's going to take a little longer because it's a slower mover, but it too will be coming back in your sign. And that will embolden you, Pisces. Maybe the first time around when you wanted to make a dream come true, there could have been a lot of reasons why that didn't happen, or why you didn't quite get it off the ground, or why you meant to, but it didn't happen for one reason or another, and the opportunity could be coming back to you. And yet, at the same time, you could feel a little doubtful, like you're still not ready. And maybe you weren't ready before either, Pisces. But the reason why you could feel like you're still not ready now could be related to your health. And that is because the sun is in Virgo right now, and it is opposing your sun sign. There's nothing in your sun sign. The lucky north node is still in your sun sign, though. It's going to be that way for another year. But the sun itself in Virgo, which rules our health care and our banking, is opposing your sun sign. And so there is something that in your plans, I would say you got to hurry up a little bit, Pisces. Now, are you going to be able to do that? Oh, no, you're out of excuses, Pisces. You can move forward. You can even do that fast. And the reason why is that an exalted Jupiter in Cancer is trining your sun. It just doesn't get better than that, Pisces. And it overrides everything else. And so it's because the planet is exalted. It isn't just trining your sun. It's like 10 Jupiters are trining your sun. And so you're going to be able this time to either move back to a place that is closer to the way you grew up, or to the way your parents raised you, or you can be thinking of joining forces with somebody who is sort of like family to you, or you want to have them be like family to you. And it could work out pretty well for you, Pisces. It really could. If you're not ready, it's because you've been delaying too long. Like, I'm sorry to say, Pisces, you got to hurry up. That's not a Pisces way. Pisces like to go through life doing their thing. But this is a time when you got to sort of step up to the plate, because you could hit a home run, Pisces. And it's coming. And you know, you got to be ready this time. And that simply means that since Virgo rules our health and the sun is opposing your sun sign, you are probably not in the best health to go forward and make a dream come true. Okay, even if you had a health problem that was reoccurring and it didn't ever get solved and you sort of weren't too sure when it was coming and going, that shouldn't stop you, Pisces, because Pisces has a gentle nature that is forgiving and kindly to others. Well, as long as you're around someone else who's just as forgiving and loving toward you, they'll understand. They'll understand. First of all, nobody's perfect, so you don't have to worry about that. But you can't delay anymore. If you're interested in some sort of self-improvement, you got to get in there and do it, Pisces. Okay, so that means it could involve nutrition, your diet, or your exercise program, or even your sleeping habits. You've got to improve that because there's sort of a possibility of a dream coming back to you, and you'll have to reach out for it. You'll have to do what you didn't do before, which was shape up. And you just got to do it and go forward. And you don't have to be perfect, because whoever you're thinking about isn't perfect either. Perfection isn't what, perfection doesn't have anything to do with love. People love animals that are handicapped, and they love people that are handicapped. And we love things that aren't perfect. We just love them anyway. Some people really love a bad thunderstorm. Other people think it's awful. Do you see? It sort of depends on the way you think about things. Nothing's perfect, and nobody has to be perfect. But it's the love that counts. It's the understanding that counts. And a Pisces has that in their heart. You may have just been aiming sort of a little too far away. And you really need to aim a little bit more toward yourself. Do the best you can right now, Pisces, and prepare to have your life open up in some way. Jupiter is going to be trining your sun from Cancer for a whole year. Don't pass up the opportunity to improve your life, Pisces, while something like an exalted Jupiter is backing you up. Because there's more happiness at home than you think. And it could be in a new home, it could be going back to an old home, it could be with a new person, it could be with a new you, new attitude. Anything's possible, so good luck. All right, thanks so much for tuning in, and thank you for the new subscribers, and I hope to tell your friends about STARBORN, and I'll see you right back here next week. Bye.